Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. After seeking Allah Azza wa Jalla's forgiveness and His pardon, we ask Him to help us in accurately answering these questions tonight. Ameen. We start with the first question, inshallah. Wa alaikum salam.
Birmingham, UK. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Can a person giving the azan make the iqamah and lead the salah as well? Is this something that was the practice of the early Muslims?
It's permissible. There's nothing that states that it's haram. No authentic proof and evidence stating that you can't do all three. As we previously mentioned before, from Fath al-Bari, Hafiz bin Hajar rahimahullah quoted al-Qurtubi, who said, or others, he mentioned other narrations, athar, one of them from Umar radiallahu anhu, in which he said, if I had the ability to do both, I would do both, meaning being the leader and also being the Imam of the Salah. أو كما قال رضي الله تعالى عنه. Something with this meaning. Al-Muhim is that if a person can make the adhan and the iqamah, it's not haram. However, one has to look at his capabilities. Do you have the strength, the stamina, the capacity to do that? To be on time for the adhan, to know the times of the adhan, to lead the salah, so on and so forth. That's a question that you have to ask yourself. As far as the practice of the early Muslims, then that which is well known, and Allah knows best, is that oftentimes there were people that were appointed. Some will be the mu'adhin or the mu'adhinun, and others will be the imams. But it does not mean under any circumstance that it's disliked or haram, because the absolute proof is the Prophet ﷺ's statements and actions. Wallahu alam.
J.I. Reading UK. I have heard people mentioning walking in ruku' to the saf. Is this permissible, and how would one do this in practice?
It's permissible according to some of the people of knowledge. What will be done is, you come into the masjid, the imam is in ruku', the saf or the sufuf, the rows, the ranks of the believers praying are also in ruku', and you don't want to miss the rak'ah. You don't want to miss it. Once the imam comes out, you miss the rak'ah. So you make the takbir behind the rows. You make the takbir, you make ruku' yourself, and you're behind them. Let's say, for example, here's the imam here. And these are the rows of the Muslims behind him like this. Mathalan, 3 people like this. And another row, etc. You come into the masjid from the back door or the side door. You make the takbir here. You bow down here. And you gently, calmly take steps. Whilst in ruku', you're bending over walking. You're in bowing position walking until you get into the saf. So by the time you get there, the imam has come up and you didn't miss it. Everybody understand this? Whereas you make takbir here, or let's say you walk regular. By the time you get to the imam has already made what? Takbir. You missed the rak'ah. So that's the description of it. And as we said, it is permissible according to many of the people of knowledge, and not necessarily all of them. Wallahu alam.
NYC USA. Can you please explain how a person that enters paradise, he will be able to take someone out of the hellfire?
Perhaps the questioner is talking about the concept of intercession, ash-shafa'ah. The concept of intercession, of shafa'ah, in which Allah Azza wa Jalla allows a righteous, believing slave to pray to him and beg Allah for that person to be removed from the fire. No one takes anyone out the fire. No one delivers anyone from the fire. No one can save anyone from the fire. You can pray to Allah with Allah's permission, and Allah Azza wa Jalla honors the slave. He honors the slave and honors the slave's request, and that person will be taken out of the fire or kept from going into the fire, or any level or type of shafa'ah. Any level or type of shafa'ah. So as we have explained in our lessons on Al-Lu'lu' Marjan from Kitab al-Iman, mention the types of shafa'ah and the correct aqeedah with regards to shafa'ah. Ash-shafa'ah is an act of ibadah, therefore it has to be done sincerely for Allah according to the sunnah. You cannot make shafa'ah with shirk and asking dead people for shafa'ah. The shafa'ah is only by Allah's permission and is only for those whom Allah Azza wa Jalla is pleased with, the people of Tawheed. So you beg Allah, if Allah allows you to do that and He honors you, the person removed out of the fire by the permission of Allah Azza wa Jalla.
RC, UK, Newcastle. My work offers the opportunity to have dental insurance. What is the ruling on taking this?
The concept of insurance is a very important and dangerous issue in 2017. It encompasses almost every aspect of life. Almost, I said. Car insurance, opening up a business, healthcare, this, that, so on and so forth, life insurance, wherever you go. It's very difficult living in the modern times to totally escape it on one level or another. If you yourself don't have a car, you don't have the driver's insurance, you don't open up a business, okay, no problem. You work without insurance, la best. But you're still involved in the system one way or another. The banks, you get on a bus, that bus does not move, does not run, except through and by what? Insurance. Now you're not paying it, you're not doing it, tayyib. The people of knowledge in brief, they say that certain types of insurance, or insurance in general, but certain types include different haram things, such as interest, usury, such as al-jahala, al-gharar, unknown actions, risky actions, paying for something that isn't assured, so on and so forth. At the end of the day, if you have a job and they offer you that service, and you have children, you have a wife that need dental care, so on and so forth, perhaps you may have to take that insurance. If not, you're going to pay a great amount of money, a great amount of hardship, which you're still going to be involved in the system on one level or another. Fear Allah to the best of your ability.
HSON, Canada. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. Is something that is illegal automatically haram? For example, is it haram to jaywalk, or are only things that are considered a criminal offense haram?
It's not necessarily haram, but a person should look towards the organization and the civilization and the peace of the society. If people start parking anywhere and jaywalking and doing this and not paying this and not reporting this, things may become chaotic. They may become chaotic. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you get a sin from Allah Azza wa Jalla. You only get a sin from Allah. You only get a sin if it's something that Allah and His Messenger have made haram, specifically or generally. A specific act, clear act of haram act, drinking alcohol. Text, nusus from kitab, from sunnah about alcohol being haram. Or generally, Allah and His Messenger have both told you to obey the legitimate Islamic ruler. Allah has told you, the Prophet has told you to obey the commands of the legitimate Islamic ruler. Listen carefully to my words. It said, never say ruler. It said legitimate Islamic ruler. So the legitimate Islamic ruler, he tells you not to do something. And that thing is not necessarily haram. It's nothing that's against Islam, but it's a general rule. Stop at a traffic light. Then you have to stop at that traffic light. And you don't stop at the traffic light, then it actually becomes haram. Because Allah and His Messenger told you to obey the legitimate ruler as long as it's ma'ruf. But in the laws of America or Canada, that's not necessarily an Islamic ruler. So stop at the traffic light. Don't break the laws unless you have to. And if you do go against it, doesn't mean it's haram.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Inshallah, you are doing well. Amina K. Cologne, Germany. Is a Muslim woman allowed to go to a woman's gym when she covers her aura properly?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we're doing well. Thank you for asking. If her aura is covered correctly, and she herself is not engaged in haram acts, such as looking at the aura of another woman, Muslim or not, in type of infatuation, of lesbianism, which is very widespread, all right? And anything else which is haram, listening, watching, eating, drinking. What's important is for the Muslim sister to go to any place and she's not falling into haram, whether it's pertaining to the clothes or other than the clothes. You go to the gym, you have on sweatpants, that's fine. Your aura is covered, but you're looking at other people's aura that's clearly uncovered. Or homosexual men. Or you're listening to something that you're not supposed to be listening to Islamically. وهكذا. So the dabit, the regulation is whatever isn't haram. And specifically in your realm, your circle. I can't control what the other person is doing on that treadmill over there. But I'm not falling into it. I'm not looking at it. Inshallah khair. And the importance of mental health, spiritual health, and also physical health as well. However, brief piece of advice with the couple seconds that we have left is to be mindful of the gym culture and being sucked into that black hole. Working out for your health, for your heart, cardiovascular, so on and so forth. You want to get in shape for your husband, you had a baby, tayyib. But don't get caught up in the gym culture and you get swallowed.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Amina K. Cologne, Germany. Should we recite the last two ayats of Surah Al-Baqarah also for morning and evening adhkar? Jazakallahu khairan.
In general, anything from the Quran al-Kareem is excellent to be, is a means of protection. Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Imran, a means of protection. However, the specific dalil is talking about before you sleep. Wallahu alam.
UK from Ohio. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you. Is it permissible for women to play daf on Jumu'ah since Jumu'ah is an Eid for us?
I would say yes and no. The yes part of the answer, whereas Jumu'ah is an Eid. The no part of the answer is that the people of knowledge say the specific rukhsa, the specific concession, the specific allowance for Eid, Ayyamul Eid. And when they mention Ayyamul Eid, days of Eid, they're talking about Eid, and not the Jumu'ah Eid. All right? The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he forbade the people fasting the days of Eid. That hadith does not pertain to Jumu'ah. The Prophet ﷺ said, Sumi yawman qablahu, aw yawman ba'dahu. He says, fast the day before or after. In other words, you can fast on Jumu'ah as long as it isn't singled out, as states another hadith. لا تخص يوم الجمعة بالصيام ولا ليلتها بالقيام أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. So therefore, the Eid, from one aspect, is Jumu'ah, but from another aspect, it's not the Eid. From one aspect, Jumu'ah is an Eid, but it's not the strength of the Eid of Tashriq and of Fitr. Just like a shaheed, someone who dies from stomach cancer, someone who dies from being burnt alive, defending their wealth and property. He's a shaheed, as the Prophet said, but it's not like the one who dies from battle wounds on the battlefield. It's a difference. So the people of knowledge, they say women are allowed to play the Eid on, play the daf on the day of the Eid, and also wedding ceremonies. Wallahu alam.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. AK Cologne, Germany. Sheikh, could a woman wear loose pants in front of her mahram or other women? And is it better to wear a winter jacket under the jilbab or kimar?
As far as wearing loose pants, then before we even get into the issue of pants, because that's another topic in itself, wearing something that's loose in front of your mahram and you're covered modestly, khair inshallah, whether it's a dress, a skirt, an abaya, your hands, al-muhim, what the mahram is and is not to see. What the mahram is and is not to see, whatever article of clothing it is. You could be a dress that a woman could wear that is totally unacceptable for the mahram to see. A tight dress, a tight skirt. And there can be pants that a woman could wear where it's totally loose and covering. So once more, the dhabit, very important for us to pay attention to the dawabit, the regulations, the general comprehensive regulation under which so many issues fall. Whatever is befitting, loose, the material, the fragrance, etc. Hadha huwa, that's what it is. Shirt, pant, skirt, etc. Clear on that? As far as the ruling of a woman wearing pants, that's a different issue. That's a long issue. Is it permissible for a woman to wear pants? Khair, inshallah. Wearing a coat over the abaya, if you feel that's best, pay it. If a woman has on a long coat atop of her overgarment on the outside, that's also fine. What's the problem is wearing a short cut jacket, as many sisters they do, and obviously their hips and their behinds are beneath that jacket. The jacket is snug and it hugs their body. That's the issue. So whether it's a long jacket on the outside or a jacket on the inside, al-muhim is the covering and the looseness.
AK Cologne, Germany. AK Cologne, Germany, Sheikh. Please, could you explain what did you exactly mean when you said last time in the Q&A that it is permissible to combine the salah even when there isn't a necessity? Are there conditions for doing this?
I don't believe that I said it's permissible to combine a salat when there isn't a necessity. If my poor memory serves me correctly, I think that I said it's permissible to combine the salah if there isn't traveling with a necessity at home. Huge difference between the two. If I'm wrong, no problem. Please double check that. You're not traveling. You're at home. You're not supposed to combine the salah. But at home, there is now a necessity. That's the difference. I believe that's what we said. Right? So with that being said, if that's unclear, then it could be an issue. Let's say you're going to anywhere, the doctor's office, or something that you have to go out and do. It's not traveling, and you know you're going to get tied up. I'm going to get stuck in traffic. I didn't want it to be like this. I had to go to this doctor's office, Manhattan, back to Queens. It's rush hour. I'm going to get stuck. And I know I'm going to be sitting in this office for no less than 2 hours, 3 hours. I get into the car. I'm going to miss Asr, driving back, stuck in traffic. So I make Dhuhr and Asr in one place. That's not necessarily a good example, because the concept of Manhattan and Queens are they two different cities? That's an issue in itself. But let's say inside of one city, you're going to be at this office or in court, and you know you're going to be there for a very long time. That is one scenario. Without traveling, and it's a need or a necessity at home. Wallahu alam.
MCU, Birmingham, UK. My stepfather bought house with mixed wealth, paid the mortgage with riba, bank salary, and sold the house and paid my tuition with some of the profit. Was this halal for me?
If the wealth is mixed, you don't know how much it is or what percentage it is, and you live with your father, you need your father to pay for your education, so on and so forth, then hopefully the sin is not upon you. As far as if you didn't need it, it wasn't a necessity, you know what exactly the wealth came from, what was the percentage, then that's a different story. You're eating a riba and benefiting from it just like he is. That's the regulation with regards to mixed wealth. Wallahu alam.
Assalamu alaikum, may Allah preserve you. H.A., Berkshire, UK. What are some of your most favorite books you would recommend for free reading?
Depends on what you mean by free reading. If you're talking about Islamic knowledge, one of my favorite books, I would say, is مثلا Jami' al-Tirmidhi, Fath al-Bari of Ibn Hajar, rahimahullah. مثلا Sharh ila al-Tirmidhi, Ibn Rajab, Sahih al-Bukhari, okay, Tamheed, Ibn Abdul Barr, and the list goes on of different books that I would recommend. Jami' Ulum al-Hikam, Ibn Rajab, Zad al-Ma'ad, Ibn al-Qayyim, Madarij al-Salikin, Ibn al-Qayyim, and the list goes on. If that's what you mean by free reading, the list goes on. So many different type of books. Wallahu alam.
M.H., South London, UK. ways of increasing memory and becoming more proficient in the Arabic language?
First of all, taqwa. Second of all, is constant dua. Thirdly, is constant practice, constant memory. Memorize, memorize, and memorize. Keep doing it. Stay at it. Keep hitting the heavy bag. Don't quit. Also, is to force yourself to rely on your memory. Try once a week as an exercise, leave the house without no phone. Try it out. GPS, no, you got to remember the directions. Fulan's phone number, you got to remember. Your address, this part with time, just try it out for one day out of the week, No phone. Try it out, inshallah ta'ala. Now, the human brain is an amazing piece of Allah's creation. Literally baffling and breathtaking. But we have weakened Allah's creation with this thingy. No, not technology. This. Everybody understand this? You're relying on your phone for everything. Directions, food, this, that, salat. Kullu shay is on my iPhone. Everything. There's no doubt that weakens your memory. So you have to get out of that and go back to the original organic way. Certain foods and certain drinks that you can eat, which help the proficiency of one's memory as well. We've done many classes on this. Please go back to the playlist about how to read, how to memorize, and how to understand. Wallahu alam.
AK Cologne, Germany. How is the mahram situation when you're related through marriage? My father married another woman and they have a son together. Are the brother and father of my stepmother my mahram? Are they allowed to see my face?
I believe we answered this question several times. Allah knows best. Questions from the brothers here? طيب تفضل صالح.
NYC USA. I read this. Surely the people of Jannah, when they enter Jannah and they don't find those companions of theirs who were with them upon good in this world, then verily they will intercede for them in front of Allah Ta'ala, and they will say, O Rabb, we have brothers who used to read Salah and fast with us. We do not see them. Allah Jalla wa Ala will say, go to the fire and take out any person who had even an atom's amount of Iman in their heart. Could you explain this?
As we previously mentioned before, Allah allows them to intercede. They did not take the people out of the hellfire with a poof, a wave of a hand. They spoke to Allah. Allah spoke back to them. Go, it says, as clear. The bottom line is the aqidah of Islam is that Allah Azza wa Jal, in His hand is the good and the not so good. The nafa' and the dar. The benefit and the harm is possessed by Allah. Wahdahu, alone. Not Muhammad, Mikael, Jibreel. No one has any power for good or not so good except through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Period. And including in that is the hellfire and paradise. Allah is the one who allows those to see. Man dhal ladhi yashfa'u indahu illa bi'idhnihi. Allah says, who is the one that can intercede with Allah except with His what? His permission. So that's the aqidah of Islam. Any hadith, any text, that is what is going to go back to Allah allows. Allah tells the angels to remove from the fire. Wallahu a'lam.
MH, South London, UK. I have love for certain scholars over others, and I go to their fatwa over other scholars because of their precision in application of evidences. Is this correct?
There's nothing wrong with that. Love is something that Allah Azza wa Jal placed in the heart of the human being. You can't control what's in your heart. There's nothing wrong with that. Loving someone for certain reasons is fine as well. I love this scholar because his classes are clear. He's packed with dalil, hadith, labas. The problem lies in fanaticism, a ta'assub, in which you only take it from this scholar. The problem lies in the cup being full, in which this scholar is so beloved to me and he's so accurate that everything he says is now correct. And that's the problem, and that's how the shaitan creeps up and bites you, literally. That's what happens to you. You're a deen when you become a fanatic. You don't think those imams were great imams? It wasn't reasons to follow them, but they became extreme. And then nothing else unless Abu Hanifa says it. Because Abu Hanifa was such and such, such and such, such. Nothing else is less than Sheikh Albani says it. Because he was such and such, that's a problem, it's a mushkila. So loving someone because of their accuracy, their reputation, what their standards are, that's fine. But don't go overboard, don't go extreme, do not become a fanatic. And make sure that you realize that no matter how good a person is, he or she can make a mistake. Inna li kulli farasin kabwa bal kabawat. The Arabs, they say, every racehorse misses a gallop. Every thoroughbred horse misses a what? A gallop. Some more than others. But every horse is going to miss a what? A gallop. So don't put all your trust in this one horse. Because it is still a what? A horse. Abdul Wadud. Don't come and ask any question, Yahi. I'm serious unless your cup is empty. Don't come with no weak narrations, no pre-assumptions.
What makes a Muslim and a Muslim compatible?
What makes a Muslim and a Muslim incompatible? There are many things. First and foremost is the deen of Al-Islam. They both make sujood. They both pray. They both believe in Allah's oneness. That's the ultimate compatibility. What? The what? Ultimate compatibility. And that's the thing which overcomes and trumps all other types of compatibility. We have the same deen. So we have different food tastes. You like spicy, I like bland, I like mild. But because I'm a Muslim, I'm going to eat with you. Everyone is saying, your skin is this color, my skin is that color. We do things like this, we wear shoes, we don't. But Islam is the dominant trump card. Once you put it down on the table, it smashes all other cards. Everybody clear on this? So that's the ultimate compatibility. After that is good character. Good character is universal. You can have a conversation, you hold a door for a woman, you say hello to somebody wherever you go. And good, decent people will appreciate and respect it wherever you are, no matter what you're wearing, no matter what terrorist attacks they put on the television. You have a thobe and a beard in the airport, you have good character. Somebody will evaluate and appreciate it. Then after that come the other trivial issues of class, how much money you make, which is important. What are your hobbies, where you come from, are you a revert, etc. But all of those things fall under deen and khuluq. Age, and the list goes on. Urban, suburban, that's a reality. You're used to going to laundromats. This sister says, I need to have washer and dryer in my house. Cabs, train, etc.
AM, Manchester, UK. We Chechens get together and do dhikr together, like saying tahmeed, tasbih. Is that allowed?
No.
MZU, Birmingham, UK. Approximately 1 year ago, my Hanafi friend was leading me in Salah. He did sujood Hanafi way, but I didn't make the one salam to right like he did, but made sujood sahw. Is my prayer valid?
Please repeat the question.
Approximately 1 year ago, my Hanafi friend was leading me in Salah. He did sujood sahw Hanafi way, but I didn't make the one salam to right like he did, but made sujood sahw. Is my prayer valid?
Question isn't clear to me. However, it seems as if the Imam made the taslim and you didn't make the taslim. You made sujood sahw while he made taslim. If that's your question, then you're to follow the Imam in the outward action as we mentioned last night in detail. The Imam makes taslim, you do one or two things. Obviously, two taslims, let's say he's only making one. The Imam makes the taslim, you either make taslim after him or you finish whatever is remaining of your prayer. As far as the Imam making taslim and you continue to follow him and do something else, that's a different story. You've no longer followed the Imam. Wallahu alam. Abdul Wadud.
Should a revert brother look to marry a revert sister as opposed to a sister raised in the deen?
Should a revert brother necessarily look for a revert sister as far as or opposed to someone who's raised in the deen? Yani, wallahi, Abdul Wadud, it depends. Wallahi. If you have a good situation and she likes you, you like her, and you're good for each other, khair. But compatibility is a reality. Certain things that you are used to, she may not be used to. Let's make an example of this. Just an example, all right? Not to finish. Just an example. You're raised as a kafir. You accepted Islam 20, 25, whatever. You may have certain sexual preferences. She's a virgin. She was raised in an Islamic household. She was never exposed to certain things. You had a girlfriend. You had this, that, jahiliyyah. So there may be certain things that may be staple to you, staple, a part of intercourse, and she's utterly disgusted in. Obviously, that's going to be a huge problem later on in the marriage. Okay? Or just the concept of non-Muslim family members. Her immediate household is Muslim. She has a grandmom, aunt, Mabel, whatever her name is, that's a Christian. Nah. But the immediate household is going to be what? Inshallah, la ilaha Muhammad Rasulullah. Your immediate household, hallelujah, Christian. They respect you as a Muslim, but they're still Christians. They say we worship Jesus. We love Jesus. So she goes to visit your parents. She's like, whoa, what is this? She may not be able to deal with that. So these are things that must be taken into consideration. However, a good situation has the barakah of Allah is going to work no matter what. Old, young, white, black, revert is the barakah of Allah.
Hanan Aslam, New York, New York. Regarding eating at restaurants, what precautions should we take to make sure the place is halal? Or should we trust the owners who say it is halal?
I mean, nowadays, alhamdulillah, there's so much information online. You can do research. But if you don't have the research and you go off the face value, it depends on the Muslim. If there's someone that seems to be upright, there's no reason for you to doubt. Inshallah, you take their statement. If the person doesn't seem upright, okay, and it's totally unknown restaurant, no clout, no word of mouth about this restaurant at all, and it's doubtful about the appearance of the place, the people in the restaurant, the person himself, that's a different story. The asal of the Muslim and of his statement, inshallah, should be khair. The default rule of thumb of a Muslim is good and should be accepted. Unless there's a reason, a clue, a context clue, which clearly makes you doubt. Then you may have to do further research. Obviously, unfortunately, the Muslims in the Western countries have made halal into an industry and into a business. Okay, with regards to halal, just say halal. The Muslims, they just care about their belly. Say halal, they're going to come. It's unfortunate. We've dug our own graves. Halal, 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 halal. So a non-Muslim, you don't think they're smart and shrewd? Let me put halal on it and I'll get the whole mosque to come and eat at my place. So you have to be mindful, a balance. Wallahu alam.
AM Manchester, UK. Is astral projection permissible in Islam?
Please explain exactly what you mean by that term. Jazakallah khairan.
Hanan Aslam, New York, New York. A few classes ago we discussed saying takbir between positions. If you are Imam, do you say takbir after you have begun moving and end it when we get to the next position?
We've explained that as well, that you have the option. Right, Lucy? We explained that in the class. We explained that.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. IT Quran, New York. Is it permissible in Islam to run a crowdfunding campaign to raise funds for your business? Is this a form of riba or begging? Barakallahu fikum.
It depends on what you mean by that. What exactly is being done? Oftentimes you have words and terms which are unclear. They're obviously in the explanation. And then we have words and terms which are clear, the word, but the concept is not as clear. So what are you going to do? What would necessitate riba? As far as begging, then it's permissible to ask for money in certain situations, as the Sunnah teaches us. Certain situations. To beg just for money is one thing. To be greedy, to abuse people. But if there's a need, a necessity, if there's a major benefit, then it's not necessarily haram to ask, beg for money. Wallahu alam.
PA, Sweden, Orebro. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What is your advice for having short temper and getting angry a lot? I'm asking because this is the case the last couple of months.
Make an abundance of the recitation of the Quran. Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Imran, Surah Al-Kafirun, the whole Quran, but specifically those surahs and chapters and parts. The Fatiha, make the adhan, listen to the adhan, always be in the masjid for the time of the adhan. Also is to realize that anger is something which is dangerous and it can lead to a lot of problems. Please go back to the khutbah that we have done maybe a year ago called Anger Management. It's on the playlist, Anger Management, in which we discussed the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ regarding La taghdab, don't become angry. Alright? In general, look at what anger leads to. Look where anger comes from. and look at the connection between anger and pride. And look at the concept of anger and someone else being more angry than you or more powerful than you and having the ability to venge out on you as well. And what it leads to. The ultimate vice of anger, wallahu alam, not necessarily the ultimate vice, but one of the ultimate vices of anger is that it is a manifestation of lack of self-control. Period. So the Muslim, anything that leads to him being controlled by an emotion is negative. Lust, relax, whatever that thing is. Everybody understand this? And a little bit of that thing is a good thing and needed. You need some type of anger. Become angry for Allah's deen. There has to be some type of lust for your wife, for your husband. But too much, now it drives you and leads you around. And that's a problem.
Assalamu alaikum, Abdul Rahman from Texas. The ayah where Allah subhanahu
What city? The city.
PA, Sweden, Orbro. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. You read a hadith that says to follow the Imam and he says, Sami Allahu liman hamida. We say, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. But I heard from Imam Al-Bani rahimahullah that the forgotten sunnah is we too say Sami Allahu liman hamida after the Imam.
Alhamdulillah. May Allah have mercy upon Shaykh Al-Albani. Ameen.
Assalamu alaikum, Abu Hadiya from Brooklyn, New York. It is permissible for women to do cupping when their backs are exposed. One woman doing it to another.
Repeat the question again, please.
Is it permissible for women to do cupping when their backs are exposed? One woman doing it to another.
Inshallah, hopefully there's nothing wrong with it. As long as it's a means of medicine and cure. Okay. Will the people of knowledge mention of a woman's awrah in front of another Muslim woman or another woman? Okay. Hopefully, bid'nai ta'ala, she's laying flat. Her back is exposed in an honorable manner. And the necessity is done. The cupping, she covers back up. Khalas. Inshallah khair. As long as it's an honorable sister as well doing the cupping. A sister that has an amana. That has some type of taqwa. Not a sister that's going to take a picture of her back. Huh? Okay? Or anything other else that's unbefitting. Wallahu alam.
Jamie West, UK, London. Assalamu alaikum. I'm on my third talaq in my marriage, but my wife is pregnant. My wife says we are not officially divorced until she gives birth, but I have given my last talaq. Is she still my wife?
As long as the talaq was valid, the last talaq, she is not your wife anymore. She is not your wife. And the rights and the pros and cons of a wife, mahram, this, that, no. She is not your wife. She has no relation to you. And the pregnancy is only pertaining to her remarrying. She's not your wife after the third talaq, with the condition that the talaq was valid. Wallahu alam.
Assalamu alaikum, AH, Brooklyn, New York. If I recite the 3 calls with the intention of the evening adhkar, can I also have the intention to blow over my child before she sleeps for protection?
It's permissible to make ta'weeth, protect your children as well, to invoke Allah to protect them. As is mentioned in certain hadith, the Prophet ﷺ will protect some of the young children. Labas, inshaAllah.
AH, Brooklyn, New York. Ibn Qayyim says that the word talaq, if used, is enough for a divorce. Does he mean if it's used in a certain way, like you are divorced, or is it simply saying the word talaq enough for the divorce to take place? Does the intention matter?
I'm not sure of the specific statement of Ibn Qayyim. We don't have the Arabic in front of us, the specific wording. However, the people of knowledge say, كلمة الطلاق وما تصرف منها. Anything that comes from the word talaq and any of its usages or derivatives. Talaq, anti taliq, talaqtuki, qad talaqtu, anti talqana, etc. Anything that's derived from ta, lam, qaf. Once you pronounce those words, then the woman is divorced. with or without an intention, joking around, or serious. Everybody understand this? As far as if you use an indirect expression, then a divorce counts with the intention. So in brief, as we've explained before, the people of knowledge, they mention al-alfaz al-sariha wal-kinayat, or al-alfaz al-kinaiya. They say a specific frank wording, talaq, and anything that comes from talaq. Verb, passive, whatever, anything that comes from the word talaq. Without intention. I was just joking. She's divorced. But if you say, go back to your parents' house, I'm finished with you. I don't want anything to do with you. Go back to your father's. Get out of my sight immediately. Is divorce if you have the what? Intention. But if you did not intend for her to be divorced and you're just upset with her and you just say, go to your father's house, it is not talaq. Clear? Wallahu alam.
Abdul Rahman from McAllen, Texas. The ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that some forms of suspicion is a sin. Is it possible for a person to be punished for a thought, belief without action?
You have a thought. A thought is not something that you're held responsible for. As the Prophet ﷺ tells us, إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَجَاوَزَ عَنْ أُمَّتِي, that Allah forgives my nation as long as they don't speak or act. مَا حَدَّثَتْ بِهِ أَنفُسُهُمْ أَوْ كَمَا قَالَ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ, that which is in one's mind or subconscious. And the same applies to the dhann. The bad thoughts, and also the tajassus, spying. Spying is an act, so we're done with that. But just having a bad thought of your brother, what's meant by that is an unwarranted thought, and then it becomes something that's harbored in the chest. But an evil thought came to my mind about brother Abdul Raqib. Khalas, no sin. Now I'm harboring it now. It's festering in my chest. And obviously that thought is only a hop, skip, and a jump before it leads to how I look at him and how I speak to him, and I don't shake his hand. It's going to manifest itself. So that's what's meant. Everybody understand this? So if shaitan comes with a bad thought, immediately repel it. Ask Allah to protect you from it. No, he's a good brother. That's all I know him for. That's it. Khalas. That's not a sin. But you allow it to fester. You build upon it, and then it. Everybody understand this? And the concept of having a bad thought of your brother is only going to be tangible if it's outside of your subconscious. Why can't I marry you off to my sister or put a good word in for you except because I have a bad thought about you without no warranted dalil? Wallahu alam.
M.Y. Dundee, Scotland. I have finished memorizing 40 hadith. What book should I memorize next? Also, how does one attain itqan in their memorization, i.e., how many repetitions?
Alhamdulillah, we congratulate you for memorizing that book of hadith. That's a great accomplishment. As far as what book should you memorize next, it depends. You mean a book of hadith or just a metin? If you're asking about a specific book of hadith, then I would advise you to memorize Bulugh al-Maram. Or if you want, you can memorize Mukhtasar Sahih Bukhari. Fi kullin khair. It's good. You can't go wrong with any of those two after 40 hadith. Bulugh al-Maram is an excellent selection. Inshallah, it's a big step up from 40 hadith Nawawi, but it's simple, easy, and sweet. And it may be even easier than certain hadiths in 40 hadith, where it's full length of the hadith. Bulugh al-Maram, snippets, quick stabs and slashes. Rawahu akhrajul arba'a. Simple, easy. Ibn Hajar's style was a bit sharper than Nawawi's style in many different issues. Concise. Everybody understand this? As far as way of getting your memory better, then as we mentioned before to the previous questioner, and as we did the lecture, or not lecture, it's a whole series of lessons on the book of Sheikh Sadhan, Kayfa Tahfadh, how to memorize. We mentioned general and specific principles. As far as the number of how many times you should repeat it, I can't say that because I don't know you personally. Everybody's different. You may have a better memory. Me, I have to keep repeating it over and over again. You may have to, mashallah, you may be blessed. You may be blessed. The person has less stress, less sins, in a better environment. In a green environment in Scotland. Or a person may live in a city. It depends.
MCU, Birmingham, UK. Hanafi friend made one salam to right, then did sujood asah. I didn't make this one salam like him, as I thought this is not from sunnah, but did sujood asah. Was salah valid?
No, you got to follow the Imam. If he makes taslim, you make the taslim. After the taslim, different story. What's remaining from your prayer, you have a rak'ah, or hakadha. But if you're following him, then you're following him. And him leaving the salah is him leaving the salah. And the only time which is unlawful for you not to leave the salah with him is if you have an extra rak'ah that you have to make. What's important is the rulings of sujood as-sahu and the specific intricacies of the madhabs, they all fall down when you're behind somebody else. Unless it's something that's clearly against the kitab and sunnah. And these different issues of ijtihad, sujood before the taslim, it is not ijma'. The imam starts jumping and singing in the salah. That's a different story. That's what? A different story. And even then, you may just sit there and wait for him to make his taslim and only follow the imam. Wallahu a'lam. Hanafi, Shafi'i, Hanbali, Zahiri, whatever a person may be. Wallahu a'lam.
AA McKinney, Texas. Is it important to know what Allah created first? Is there a difference of opinion on what Allah created first?
It's important to know what Allah created first if you come across the proof for it. If you read the hadith, إِنَّ أَوَّلَ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ الْقَلَمِ إِنَّ أَوَّلَ كَذَا, whatever the hadith or the ayah says Allah created first, if you come across that, then it's important to know. Because you're to believe in what Allah has sent down. And Allah told you to believe in that which He sent down. Naam? Allah told you to believe in that which you what? Sent down. Whatever Allah sent down, you are to believe in. But that's going to be subjected to someone's knowledge. So the Muslim who doesn't have the desire or the taste to go into the details, and he learns the basics of Islam and his Iman and Aqidah, that's sufficient. Because his knowledge is limited. But you learn more things. You come across the hadith that says that Allah Azza wa Jalla rose above the throne. Allah looks at two men and smiles. Allah this. You have to believe in it now. Because you have detailed knowledge and it's your ability to affirm. It's your responsibility to affirm that. Everybody understand this? So therefore you come across it, you have to believe in it. Now you have two conflicting hadiths. It's important to know which one is first for the correct Iman. For the what? The correct Iman. As far as is there a difference of opinion? There's some of the people of knowledge say that there is difference of opinion with regards to the first thing that Allah created. Was it the pen? Was it the arsh? So on and so forth. Naam? Wallahu alam.
M.A. Washington, D.C. Assalamu alaikum. May Allah bless you and your family in this life and the next. Is it permissible for girls to play with Barbie dolls or toy dolls? And what is the lead?
First and foremost is a backwards question. For something being permissible, it does not need dalil. The dalil is needed for that which being haram. هُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ لَكُم مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا. Allah made everything for you on earth. Shaykh Sam Taymiyyah tells us and others that which is from the mu'amalat, the actions of the earth, the things, foods, drinks, is permissible until proven haram. It's permissible to play with Barbie dolls, Ninja Turtles until proven to be haram. And this is not attacking the questioner, but it's for us to change our backwardness, which many of us have. What's the dalil you can go to this masjid? What's the dalil you can do this? Everybody understand this? What's the dalil you can eat this? You can drink this? No. What's the dalil that I can't enjoy this meal or this dress? What's the proof that you cannot wear silk? Because the dalil, the asl, the default is that everything is permissible. If it's not worship, no Sufi stuff. We're talking about dunya, worldly things. Anything from the world is jaiz until what? Proven to be haram or makruh. Everybody understand this? So we have to fix the question. As far as the issue of dolls and toys, that's a very long discussion. I would advise you to go back to the lecture we did on taswir, a brief discussion of taswir on the channel. Are Barbie dolls considered to be surah, or is it something that's permissible? That's a long discussion.
Sweden or bro, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is being fussy when it comes to marriage wrong? By that I mean I have high requirements on the sister or brother you're looking for.
Yes and no. You have to be selective. You have to be fussy sometime, okay? Sometimes you have to, especially in 2017, and which is a cesspool of stuff, unfortunately, in the name of Islam. It's unfortunate. Criminals, liars, crooks in the name of Islam. It's sad, but it's reality. So you have to be selective. But at the same time, you have to know yourself. Are you a patient person? And are you a skillful person? If you're patient and skillful and tactful, then be as picky as you want to be. because you know that I can wait. It's not going to kill me to wait. And I know when to seize the opportunity. Look at like a cat. Let's make an example of a cat. Cat, in order, is a very finicky, picky animal. It won't eat anything. It won't eat everything. It'll turn up its nose, smell it, and walk away easily. But the cat is also extremely patient. Everybody understand this? And the cat is also highly skilled. So the cat knows that I can rely on my skills to get something that I want to eat specifically, and I'm not eating that over there. Everybody understand this? All animals are not like that. Everybody understand this? So this is a reality now. If you are patient, and if you're skilled and determining who's good and who's bad, tayyib, be picky. If you ain't patient, if you ain't skilled, you're going to suffer. You're going to what? You're going to suffer. So there has to be a balance. Don't be too picky, but don't just allow yourself to fall for anything beneath a standard. Wallahu alam. Please go back to the lecture on finding on marriage in Kitab and Sunnah. We did a 6-hour lecture just on what? On the topic. And we talked about this specifically. Tafadhal ya akhi.
So what's your thought in terms of getting the loan through guidance?
What are my thoughts on getting loans through guidance? In general, alhamdulillah, there are many sites online that are made for this purpose, to serve the layman Muslim and figuring out these economic issues. Many sites you can go to in which there are specialists,
Right.
in which they have covered. This site is Sharia compliant, this site isn't Sharia compliant. So I would advise you to go there first. As far as a brief, quick answer right now, then before you even get into the type of bank, you have to look at the need or lack of getting a loan. First question is, having a house, is that a necessity? To some people it is. It is. To some people. I have to have a house, I can't keep rent, I have children. And to others, it isn't a necessity, depending on where you live and your culture and your background. Certain people, they say, our rent, that's better than paying the riba. Secondly is there a need and a necessity for you to get this money in this type of house? You have a simple house, but I need a bigger house. It depends. Because if it's a necessity, even if it's riba, it's a different story. But if it's an issue of greed, and I want this and that, then that's a totally different story. So therefore, the loan or the mortgage or them buying it and selling it to you, whatever the case may be, if it's free from riba, alhamdulillah. And if it involves riba, then it's a problem. And it's only permissible if it's a what? Necessity. That's in brief.
M.Y. Dundee, Scotland. Did Ibn Abbas argue with the Khawarij, or were they not Khawarij?
He argued with the Khawarij, as Al-Hakim has collected in his Mustadrak. In the authentic narration, he went to them, and they were known. Wallahu alam. Abdul Wadud.
What are the pros and cons for marrying outside of your marrying a sister from overseas?
Pros and cons of marrying a sister overseas. Just like anything else. There are different cultures and different civilizations. It depends on what you want from a wife. Some brothers, they are, focused on beauty. And beauty is relative. My people aren't beautiful, but the women over there are. My women are beautiful women. It's an eye of the beholder. Some people, they marry women for deen. And they may think that women from overseas are just pious and women in America are all sinners. This is a reality. This is real. Some people, they may marry a sister because of what she knows of Arabic. I want a woman that knows Arabic. She doesn't have to learn it like me. I'm jacked up. I've been studying Arabic for 10 years. Can't even say it. I want a sister that can spit it, talk to my children, raise my children. If that's what you want, la bas. Everybody understand this? Okay. Methanin, or you may want a sister that's not exposed to some of the filth that people are exposed to in America. Even if a person is a virgin physically, a woman is a virgin physically, a man, but they mentally whores. They've been exposed to pornography, their boyfriend, this, movies. They've been exposed to these things. They may want someone that hasn't been exposed to those things. Not saying that people overseas don't watch pornography. They say one of the biggest consumers of porn in the world is Pakistan. If you read the statistics. Everybody understand this? So the point is, there are ups and downs no matter where you go. A good, pious sister that's attractive, that's on Kitab and Sunnah, whether it's in America or somewhere in the Middle East. That's in brief.
M.H. South London, UK. Is it permissible to take from websites like Islam QA, knowing that praise of Sayyid Qutb is there and his speech is also present in some of the fatwa.
You take from someone that you trust. If you don't trust that person, do not take from them. It's just that easy and simple. So if issue with Sayyid Qutb, the statement of Sayyid Qutb, you have an issue of trust, doubt, leave it alone. And take from someone that you feel is thorough enough for your standard. If you yourself are a student of knowledge, that's a total different story. To decipher and discern and to take the good and the bad, whoever said it. Sayyid Qutb said something that was bad, it's rejected. Sayyid Qutb says something that's good, it's accepted. The talib al-ilm is to seek the haqq wherever it goes. Everybody understand this? So if you're a layman Muslim, if you have doubt, this one, that one, fulan and fulan, avoid it. It's just that some of the too many websites out there to get caught up on this issue and that issue. You don't like it or is this and that problematic, leave it alone. But if you feel that you have enough knowledge and enough common sense and you're not that weak-minded to just be misled by just, depends. There's a big problem in the social media culture. If there's one mistake in a book, the book is now no good. This is a reality. So there has to be detail on these issues. But the best thing is safety. You don't like listening to this person, that's fine. Be safe. But don't be what? Fanatical. And saying that there's no good and no one else can watch it or listening to it. Wallahu a'lam. Right. Once more, as a friendly reminder, the reminder, inshallah, benefits those who have faith, is that if you wish to ask a question in this open live question and answer marathon, please state your name first and last. If you don't want to state your name, that's fine. Your initials first and last, city and state, town, province, whatever the case may be, city and country, etc. Jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you very much for abiding by those rules. If you don't want to state your name or initials, or you feel it's a bid'ah, that's fine as well. Inshallah, you can ask someone else on another channel. Sheikh Khan, New York, New York. Jamaica, New York. Fadl.
MLK, New York, New York.
Fadl.
Is it permissible to perform Umrah if you're in debt?
Question says, is it permissible to perform Umrah or you're in debt? Depends on what type of debt you have. Somebody that's calling your phone, knocking on your door, don't make Umrah. A debt that's a normal debt like most of us have today is electric, gas, your oldest brother, fulan, you pay at the end of the month, you give it to me when you get it, la bas. La bas. But someone that wants their money and that money is clearly interfering or your Umrah expenses are interfering with that debt, don't make Umrah unless you pay off that debt. Wallahu alam. Alhamdulillah.
AA Santa Rosa, California. What foundational books to start with?
I mean, I would just say, all of the videos and classes that we discuss all of these things in. For years, we've been talking about this now. In brief, the very first thing that you should start off with is learning how to properly read the Quran, how to properly recite the Quran. All right? Learning the basics of Iman and Tawheed, the basics of purification, the basics of your daily duties. Everybody understand this? So the question specifically for a talib al-ilm, a student of knowledge. If you know Arabic, then there's one course of action. If you don't know Arabic, the very first thing is Arabic. Al-Ajurumiyya. Mathalan. Al-Nahw al-Wadih. Whatever simple basic book it is. But Arabic is the key. Arabic is the key. Arabic is what? The key. And it's shameful for a student of knowledge to be overseas, to graduate, that can't speak Arabic properly, can't read properly. His grammar is choppy and chipped up. That's not accepted at all. Arabic is the foundation. Before hadith, before aqidah and this and that, Arabic for a student of knowledge. A layman Muslim can learn the basic things simply. We're talking about actual professional student of knowledge. It's my intention to be a what? Student of knowledge. So I have to learn Arabic. So that's the very first important thing. Wallahu alam.
AA Santa Rosa, California. Is it required to wash the back of the throat in wudu?
No.
AA Santa Rosa, California. Is there more than one way to say that attire in prayer?
We discussed that in Lulu Monajan classes, the different narration of the Sahaba. In detail. I sent.
AA Santa Rosa, California. If kids draw animated figures on paper, is that haram?
Children should not illustrate things that have living souls, that are actual real creatures. Fantasy type of creature, perhaps is not as bad. But a human being or actual real animal that exists in the real world, they should not draw and illustrate that with a complete body and head. The head should be disfigured, should be effaced. Eyes, neck, and the head being connected, no.
AO, London, UK. How to advise those who say that there is no problem in committing sins as Allah forgives all sins and every son of Adam makes mistakes.
Common sense. Allah said He forgives all sins. Allah never said sin and disobey me. He said obey me, follow my commands, fear me, put your trust in me. He never said disobey me. But if you do slip and make a mistake, I am most forgiving. And where do you know that Allah is most forgiving? Where'd you get that from? You're going to say the Quran or the Quran. And Allah also says, He's Shadidul Iqab, Shadidul Mihal, Azizun Dhun Tiqam. Ayah after ayah, Allah says He's severe in punishment, swift in punishment. He takes revenge and retribution. And taqamna, we took revenge from them, Allah says. Retribution. This is no joke. So the one who told you He's all forgiving is also the one who told you He's what? Inna batasha rabbika la shadid.
Hanan Aslam, New York, New York. What's the ruling on eating chicken and having a sort of feast on Thanksgiving Day?
As far as eating chicken, then as long as the animal is slaughtered properly and prepared properly, inshallah it's permissible. Bismillah. Having a feast on Thanksgiving, it depends on what your feast. We may laugh, but it depends. Let's say this is how I normally eat. I come with my brothers, they come to my house, we have several things. Feast for Thanksgiving to give thanks? No. Because before we even get into the stickies, the cobweb, the spider web, is Thanksgiving a religious holiday? That's a long discussion. Who said that a holiday has to be religious for it to be haram? The Prophet said that's a long discussion. Before we even go that far, Thanksgiving Day is inaccurate historically. The Pilgrims, supposedly, Mayflower, Plymouth Rock, the Indians, the Native Americans, the indigenous people, whatever they call them, unfortunately, they said it wasn't even on that date in November that the people have Thanksgiving. It was on a different date. It was later or earlier. So you're not even following a proper day properly. Everybody understand this? And last but not least, I'll say this to you guys. Why did they celebrate that day? And why are you celebrating that day? The Pilgrims, they came, they were starving, dying. They died of disease, of famine, sickness. They had nothing. Then the indigenous people supposedly brought them animals, corn, so on and so forth, and they had a thanks. Are you starving and dying every day? Sahih? This is reality.
NY, Dundee, Scotland. Does Bulugh Quran suffice you from memorizing Umdatul Ahkam, or should one add the Zawaid of Umdat after?
If you want to add them afterwards, or there's some books, I bought a book in Medina which has both of them together. The Zawaid of Umdatul Ahkam and Bulugh Maram. That's fine, that's good if you can. If you had to pick one of the two, there lies no doubt Bulugh Maram is bigger, better, more popular, it's explained. The service that's done to Bulugh Maram is incomparable. The way the book was written, the authors, the comparison, is no comparison between the two. Period.
AA, Santa Rosa, California. Is it permissible for close family to come when in labor? Jazakallahu khair.
It depends on a family who's close. I may have a cousin that's close to me. And I might have a blood brother that's far from me. My mother or father may not be close to me, but my distant uncle, it depends on who the family member is, who is and who isn't a mahram. As far as labor, then also just because they're there doesn't mean they have to see you. No one is to see that part of your body except for the people that must see it. Delivering the baby. That's it. They can stand on the side. They can be in a room on the other side, behind, where the covers, the blank, whatever. No one should see that part of your odor. Nobody. Unless it's someone that has to be there to deliver the baby and assisting the one who's delivering the baby. Period. Wallahu alam.
M.H. New Brighton, Minnesota. I recently got in an argument with a non-Muslim. The non-Muslim accused me of using taqiyya. What is taqiyya? Jazakallahu khair.
Perhaps they mean when a person feels some way, has some type of stance, which is totally menacing and threatening to the people or the society which they live, but he hides it and covers it up. The word taqiyya, like taqwa, related, meaning a screen, a covering. I'm gonna smile in your face. How you doing, neighbor? How's it going? Did you see the game last night? And in my backyard is a machete, and I'm gonna cut off your head and take your wife as my sex slave. Islam, Allahu Akbar, blow them up. This is what the people think that Islam is and the Muslims are. So therefore, if you're a good neighbor, a good employer, a good employee, you're polite and cordial, but your religion tells you to kill the disbelievers where you find them, rape their women, destroy them, kill them, slaughter them, they say that's taqiyya. Obviously, it doesn't even make any sense. The people don't understand what they're talking about, not close nor far by. They don't understand the concept of religion. They don't understand their religion. Everybody understand this, let alone understand Islam. And when you read the Quran is not like your narrow, shifted and man-changed, altered religion. Islam is a book of war, a book of politics, it's instruction in all fields of life. So the verse that says, kill them where you are, has nothing to do with a daily normal thing. That's when a general addresses his what? His troops. Fight, be brave. Everybody understand this? We'll take another minute and a half on this question. So the point is that the confusion comes in from the people not knowing and not wanting to know what Islam is and what the Sharia says. And then saying that the Muslims who live normally, peacefully, is taqiyya. No. If there's no jihad, there's no legitimate Islamic warfare, what do you want me to do? Spit in your face and call you an infidel? You're my neighbor. And have you not read the Quran that says, be kind to your neighbor, be respectful to your neighbor? So it's not taqiyya. Everybody understand this? Now this is from the kuffar's aspect. Are there certain Muslims that are extremely ignorant that have helped them in this misconception? Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, what? Yes. So let's ask ourselves the questions. With regards to the verses in the Quran about jihad fi sabilillah, what does the U.S. general or lieutenant or sergeant tell his troops when they're in Iraq? What does he tell them when he goes to meet ISIS and ISIL and the enemy? What does he tell them? He said, be kind, be merciful, put down your gun. What does he tell them? Abdul Khair, what does he tell them? We have a mission. This is a primary objective, secondary objective, so on and so forth. So now, American society is violent now because how many wars have been fought on American soil and outside of American soil? How many people were killed? No, that's issues of warfare. That's not the everyday, day-to-day life of a normal American. So the same applies to jihad in the Quran. So you can't mix two different things and say the one who's a good person is taqiyya. That's totally erroneous. Wallahu alam.
P.A. Sweden Orebro, Assalamu alaikum. What is your opinion on asking for a sister's hand a second time after being rejected the first time due to some fitna or etc.?
It's like we mentioned last night. It depends on the situation. The sister rejected you the first time because she's playing hard to get. You know that or you feel that strongly. Ask again. She wants you to ask her again. That's one thing. But no, she's not playing hard to get. She doesn't like you. She's not interested at all. I don't like the way you look. You're too old, you're too young. Different story. Don't humiliate yourself. Or the first time you asked, you weren't right. Or someone said something about you that was untrue and then you cleared it up. There is no one answer to this, guys. It depends on the what? The situation. Sometimes you have to be persistent. And you have to be tenacious. And then sometimes you're humiliating yourself by begging and asking. Wallahu alam.
M.Y. Dundee, Scotland, Hayatullah Mufti. Please give me an average number of repetitions for someone with average memory when memorizing. I'm confused because some said 1,000.
if you want an average number, yani, if you insist upon an average number, then let's say, for example, let's say a person is memorizing an average size hadith or summarized hadith, short sword or something. A simple, easy way, if you need an answer, is to read it 5 times. Method, read it 5 times. Close the book, say it to yourself once, then open the book another time. Read it. That's the 6th time you read it. Close the book, you memorize it to yourself a 2nd time. So you're going to eventually read the book how many times? 10 times, and you recited it with the book closed what? 5 times. So try that out. If that's not enough, then double it. وهكذا. Now review is a different story. Wallahu alam.
AO London, UK. Should we listen to Sheikh Ahmed Musa Jibril?
I don't know who that is.
AY UK West London. Assalamu alaikum Ustad. Can you inform me of the ruling with marijuana in regards to salah, i.e., is it the same as alcohol? Jazakallah khair.
The generality of proof that you're intoxicated, okay, so one may say it's the same. However, I'll say this. Even though marijuana, smoking marijuana, not talking about medicinal marijuana, smoking it, okay, or even eating it, brownies, cookies, it's not just smoking it. Consuming marijuana, not in the medical field, is a means of intoxication, no doubt, just like wine. So it's khamr. However, it's not the same. Khamr is there's generality to the word khamr, and there's also specific meaning to khamr, and it's wine and drink. And when people are inclined towards, it's a yes and a no answer. So what's important is, if you smoked marijuana, you smoked a blunt, you got high, or you ate a cookie, whatever, a couple cookies, you got high, is that make Toba. Is your salah invalid for 40 days? Maybe. Or not necessarily invalid, unaccepted. Is it unaccepted for 40 days? Maybe. But you don't know. You make Toba and continue to pray. Make salah for 40 days and more. And don't eat the cookie or the brownie or smoke the blunt a 2nd time, to the best of your ability. And if you do, make Toba again and fight yourself to get off of that drug. Wallahu alam. Hopefully that makes sense. Abdul Raqib.
MY Dundee, Scotland. How should a student of knowledge build his library?
We've spoke about this before. 2 main ways. First and foremost is to focus on one subject, starting off with the ummahat, the main classic works. So, for example of this, I'm not a general Muslim, but I plan to be overseas for some years. And I plan to keep studying when I leave and go back to my country. I'm back in Scotland. So I'm going to focus on a professional library. I have the small books that I need. I know the basics of Tawheed, the basics of wudu. I'm being a student knowledge now. So tafsir. Start off with tafsir Tabari, for example. Tafsir Qurtubi, for examhl. Al-Baghawi. Tafsir Ibn Kathir. So on and so forth. The other big books, tafsir of Razi, tafsir of this one and that one, the big books of tafsir. And you buy all of the most important books of tafsir. And if you have money and longevity, buy the other books, and then you finish the book. My tafsir section is pretty much done. There are always going to be new books to come out, but I have the main stuff. Then I move forward to hadith, and I buy the ummahat of the books of hadith. Then the fiqh, I buy the major mother books of fiqh, not the small pamphlets. That's one way. And the next way of doing it is to continually buy small books that you need, small books that you read, and you're studying with the explanation, and you keep moving up. So I'm studying this book with the Sheikh right now. I bought this book in tafsir, another with hadith, another in lugha, another وهكذا. 2 main ways. My advice is to be generous and not to worry about money. Spend. Allahu alam. How are we looking, Salih? Tayyib.
PA Sweden Orebro. Assalamu alaikum Sheikh. Allahumma barik. Your thobe are real fly. Where do you buy them, Sheikh?
طيب. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for the compliment. Jazakallahu khairan. As we were asked before by other disciples about the thobes and the different kung fu outfits and so on and so forth, where do you buy them? There's no one place. There are places that we buy them, whether it's in New York City, Philadelphia, New Jersey, online, Amazon, eBay, wherever you find it at. What's important is if you want one, as we said before, it's very simple. You can Google it. You can Google your martial arts superstore in your town or your country. If you don't have one in your town and country, you can order it from overseas. So mathalan, for example, this garment here we're wearing. Okay, you would Google, for example, you say what? Kung Fu jacket, Bruce Lee jacket, Tai Chi vest. Even if you're missing a word or you misspell it or it's not the exact, the result, Google serves you. No doubt about that. It what? It serves you. Everybody understand this? So therefore, you're going to have the images, shopping, web. You go on Amazon, you go on eBay, you're going to find a thumbnail. It's going to lead you to, oh, that's it right there. And then from there, you can diversify your colors. All white, bone white. Everybody understand this? All black, black, white, white, black. Whackada. Everybody clear on this? Jazakallahu khairan.
DH, Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is it haram to draw a fictional character like Superman? And is it haram to watch cartoons?
As far as drawing a fictional character, we explained that already tonight. Superman, in my humble opinion, is a man. He's not like something that's totally supernatural type of creature. He's an actual human being, humanoid type of form. You know he's supposed to come from what? From outer space. Everybody understand this? I forget the name of the planet. What's it called? Krypton type. But he's still in a what form? A human form. So don't draw him. Don't illustrate him. Unless you take off the head. Or totally efface the face and separate the neck from the torso. Everybody clear on this? As far as watching cartoons, that's a long discussion. Yani, the concept of the television. Is the television considered tasweer or not? If you consider it a surah, then it's going to be haram to have it in your house and so on. If it's not a surah, and it's not the haram type of surah or whatever the case may be, then it depends perhaps on the content of the cartoon. But it's still a means of illustration. Someone has to illustrate it, then color it, then put it together. So that can be problematic. And most importantly, after all of that, all those details is the content of the cartoon. The content of the cartoon. But you have to realize a grown person watching cartoons and a child watching cartoons. And you have a weakness and you have a shortcoming. And the effects, good and bad, of television and of cartoons and of media. Is a reality. So all these things have to be taken into consideration. Wallahu alam. If you feel it's a waste of your time and it takes from Allah's dhikr, don't watch them. Abdul Wadud.
You mentioned earlier that, Khamar has a specific rule and then also
Excuse me?
generality.
Khamar.
Khamar.
Okay.
So for those people out there who try to make reservations for people when it comes to non-alcoholic beverages with the same kick, buzz or whatever, like what's the rule on that?
Questions regarding non-alcoholic beverages that have the same kick or buzz.
Non-alcoholic wine.
Non-alcoholic wine. Me personally, Allah knows best. I don't see how can it be non-alcoholic and still have a kick or a buzz if there's no alcohol in it. What gives you that buzz? You may drink iced tea, or you have grape juice, or Coca-Cola, and it gives you a sugar rush. Mountain Dew, you drink a couple of bottles and make you start feeling what? Happy. Not jittery. You drink too much iced tea, you start feeling happy. Doesn't mean it's haram or it's khamr. So if there's no alcohol in it, whether it's removed or there's no alcohol, where does the buzz or the kick come from? Allahu alam. What's important is if it isn't an intoxicant, it isn't a what? Intoxicant. Everybody clear on this?
As of right now, 10 more questions.
Try.
M.Y. Dundee, Scotland. May Allah bless you. Which is better to memorize? Aqidah Tahawiyah or Lumatul Itiqad?
I mean, like we always said before, and it's important for us to always understand and to further enrich our hadith disciple philosophy and culture. Very important. It is not an average channel. We're not trying to be, this is different. So we have a culture, a school of thought, how we think. We have to purge ourselves of bad thoughts or thoughts that aren't that strong or inaccurate and fill our minds with the way of thinking that's proper. And as we said before, there is no superior style or way. Just like martial arts, we make the comparison. There's no one style that's better over the other. It depends on the artist, the practitioner. It is not the move, but the what? The movement. Everybody understand this? So you can benefit more from one book that's not as famous or popular and not the bigger famous book. You can learn more from a lower sheikh than someone who's big household name. There is no one place. I studied in Yemen, I'm automatically better than those in Medina. I studied in Medina, I'm better. No. It depends on how much work you put in, how much talent you have, how much barakah Allah gives you. There is no superior way or place or book.
Assalamu alaikum.
And the only book that's totally superior is the Quran and Kareem. Everybody understand this? But in general, if you had to pick one of the two, I would go with Aqidah Tahawiyya without a question. It's more popular, it's more renowned, it's more respected. It has a totally amazing Sharh Ibn Abi Izz al-Hanafi. The modern day ulama have explained it more. It's a bigger, better book. Wallahu alam.
M.Y. Dundee, Scotland. How to retain benefits you read.
Please go back to the playlist that we did on how to read. Go back to the playlist on how to read. I'll give you a brief piece of advice now, and that is, once more, the Hadith Disciple school of thought is that don't think about retaining. Don't think about retaining. Attachment is what messes you up. Just read the book. Bismillah. Am I going to memorize it? I'm going to retain it? Just read it. Study, go, and that's it. Something that you're trying to memorize, that's a different story. A class, a form, but a book that you're just reading, just read it. You come across something beneficial, write it down. Highlight it. Underline it. Put a star next to it. Put a sign here type thing next to it. Everybody understand this or not? You see what I'm saying to you? You put one of these thingies here. Nothing in. But don't think about it. Just do it. Very important technique in Hadith Disciple school of thought. Just don't think. You're thinking too much. Just let it flow naturally. You continue to read. You're sincere, inshallah. You put in the time, you put in the effort, it will come what? Naturally. Khatibs that aren't used to giving a khutbah. I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm not going to... Just prepare. And once you get on that minbar, first and foremost, put your trust in Allah. After that, put your trust in your training. Did you read? Did you study? Did you review well and thoroughly? So you have what? Nothing to worry about. Slow passage of time.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. UW, London, UK. Have you done any lessons, playlists on Kitab al-Tawheed? And if not, would you consider doing this? Barakallahu feek, Shaykh.
No, we haven't. Well, yes, we have actually. We did explanation, a few lessons from being afraid of shirk from Tafsir al-Aziz al-Hamid. Sheikh Sulaiman, rahimahullah ta'ala, the original classic explainer of Kitab al-Tawheed, the origin of Fath al-Majid. We took a few lessons from that with regards to the danger of shirk, as far as the specific book of Kitab al-Tawheed. As far as Tawheed and Aqidah, of course, alhamdulillah, we've explained Kitab al-Iman from Nurul Marjan, over 100 hadith, and other books on the website, the importance of learning the creed, and the list goes on. With countless lectures and talks we did on Tawheed and Aqidah and shirk and so on and so forth. But the specific book of Kitab al-Tawheed, we have not done the entire book. We do not have a playlist on it for several reasons. Will be considered in the future? Perhaps. Wallahu alam.
AM, Manchester, UK. Is there any limit asking Allah for something in dua?
It's an adab. And before you go to a limit, and what can you say? The closest distance between one point and another is a straight line. And that straight line is Muhammad's adhkar, his supplications. What the Prophet ﷺ did and said, specifically, that's more than enough for you. It's just something that the Prophet didn't say or didn't teach people to say that you can think of in your daily life. Punishment, protection, children, marriage, wealth, fighting your enemy, courage, and the list goes on. So oftentimes you get lost. Is this permissible? Can I say this more than once? Can I ask for this? Because we start making different, in a quick, short, easy line. Everybody understand this? The general rule is that there's not necessarily a limit on what you can ask Allah for. What's Allah min fadli? Allah says, ask Allah from His bounty. And Allah does not restrict. His bounty is, Dhul Fadl al-Azim, ever expansive, subhanahu wa ta'ala, his bounty. So it is not necessarily a limit, but there is an etiquette in dua and not transgressing the boundaries. And there's certain things you can say which are comprehensive, which will suffice you from mentioning every single detailed thing. Oh Lord, please give me this and give me that and give me this and I want that. Oh Lord, give me good in this life, good in the hereafter. Oh Lord, increase my wealth and my children. I want a boy, I want this, I want this. There's no need for all of that. Wallahu a'lam.
M.Y. Dundee, Scotland. Please recommend a sharh in Arabic for al-Baykuniya.
There's a sharh of al-Nashat. There's a ta'liqat al-Athariya, al-Ali al-Halabi. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen has a sharh to the book as well. What's important is Baykuniya or any other book, you want to understand the main terminology, the concepts, have a general comprehensiveness of the book, and move on. Not saying that the questioner is on this, but most people are today. And alhamdulillah, I can say this with pride. One of the things the hadith disciple is revolutionary in, walillahi alhamd, all praises for Allah, is breaking the people out of this, which people call overseas metin worship, in which they take one small metin beginner's book and they explain it in 2 volumes. This is a small book of fiqh and they explain 2 big thick volumes like this. And the student spends years studying all the khilaf, this one, that, when it's tarif, fulan, muqala, al-alani, and that is not the intended purpose of that book. The author wrote a manual, a small book, as nothing more than a stepping stone. And the book is not to be worshipped. Everything in this book is the proper definition. This is Sahih. No. This is nothing more than an introduction, a primer, nothing more. As soon as you finish, you have the thorough introduction. The book is to be what? Discarded. Everybody understand this? Very important words. Discarded. Now it's no good anymore. It's like training wheels. Everybody clear on this? Very important for us to really get this. We've explained this. Please go back to our lessons on Baykuniya, in which we talk about some of this. This is a very, very, very problematic issue that not too many people talk about with regards to the proper way of studying mutun. I'll say in brief, the metin is for no other purpose except to make things easy for the beginner. That's it. Once it's done, is what? You move forward. Wallahu alam.
P.A. Sweden Orbro, Assalamu alaikum Shaykh. Are we allowed to eat from Ahlul Kitab? If so, is it permissible to eat from food chains that are from Christian countries, and if the meat is from there?
As far as eating from Ahlul Kitab, there's no difference. Allah tells us in the Quran, the food of those who have been given the scripture. Abdullah ibn Abbas narrated, the food is the dhabaih, slaughtered animals. So there's not to be any different on that, eating from Ahlul Kitab. The problem is, who is Ahlul Kitab and in these food chains? Are the modern day Christians Ahlul Kitab or not? That's something that someone can have difference on. Everybody understand this? Are the people who say Trinity, Jesus, so on and so forth, are they Ahlul Kitab? Their women don't cover, they make zina, they eat swine, they have Christmas trees. Are they Ahlul Kitab? The people, the Jews today who follow the Talmud and this and that, are they Ahlul Kitab? But the actual Ahlul Kitab, whoever they are, no one's going to differ on that because Allah clearly mentioned that in the Quran. Period. Then we have the issue of the food chains. And even if they are Christian or Jew, are the animals being killed properly? Or 50 cows being shot to death at once? Or a poleaxe? Or automatic machine? They're being shot to death or put in boiling hot water or freezing cold water and then electrocuted. That's a different issue. And Allah Alam, to my limited knowledge, and Allah knows best, my limited knowledge, most food chains, this is how they deal with their animals. Wallahu alam. That's in brief. We've explained that before in other classes.
Khalid Nasir from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Barakallahu Fiq Mufti. Is there a specific reward in marrying a divorced woman? How about a widow? Jazakallahu khairan.
Perhaps this is a specific reward, perhaps we say. If you have the intention of marrying someone that no one else wants to marry, is totally culturally looked down upon, as there is many Islamic, Muslim or Arab cultures today. Unfortunately, a woman is divorced, no one will ever touch her, as if she's a leper. or leprous. No one ever goes near her. She's been divorced. A man has touched her. He's seen her naked. La abadan. So she may be a beautiful sister. She may be a righteous sister, a pious sister, good sister, but she was divorced. And the divorce may not have been her fault. She may have had a bad experience. Her ex-husband was a very bad guy. He mistreated her. And she has to suffer for the rest of her life. No one wants to marry her because of the culture. And then you marry her. And you go against your parents or the people to marry this good, righteous sister. Perhaps there's a reward in that. Because none of you believe until you love one for your brother until you want one for your what? Yourself. And you would want to be married. You wouldn't want to live the rest of your life miserable and lonely and sad. And the same applies to a widow. She was bereaved, berated, her husband was taken away from her, so on and so forth. Perhaps there's a reward in that. Wallahu alam.
DH Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is haram to go watch a live NBA game, for example, Raptors versus Celtics at Air Canada Centre?
As far as the specifics of the teams, the Raptors or the Celtics, if it's not, I say what, if it's not my team, it may be makruh. Allah knows best. I don't have the authority to say it's haram to go to a basketball game. Somebody may say it's permissible. I'm not going there to drink or smoke or look at women or anything haram. I'm going there to watch sports, recreation, which is initially permissible. Pay close attention to my words. I said initially and not absolutely permissible. And then others may say you go into the Air Canada Center, the Raptors, the Celtics, Bud Light, Budweiser. We didn't say free mixing. That's a long issue. You free mixing, you go to the supermarket. No one says haram to what? Go to the supermarket. Or you take your kids to the zoo. Al-Muhim, free mixing, mathalan labas. She's sitting next to you, dressed like a whore. This woman is dressing decent. These guys are gay, holding hands, sitting on each other's lap. Waliyadu billah. You saw that, at the place the other day? Guy was sitting on the guy's lap. A'udhu billah. They're playing music. Perhaps from these things, one may say you're entering upon a haram. You're going to be sitting there for 2 hours. Salat. One may say that. One may what? He may say that it's haram to go to the Raptors game. Wallahu alam.
MCU, Birmingham, UK. How does one not fear the blame of the blamers?
First and foremost, courage is of two types. Natural born courage, God-given courage, that you have nothing to do with. It was given to you from Allah. It was passed down through your genes. Your father was brave. Your mother was strong. It's in your genes. You're courageous by nature. Or not necessarily courageous, but just there is a relative type of being nonchalant. I don't care. So what? I don't care what you think. I don't care what you feel. Big deal. Have a nice day. You mad at me? Okay, good. Clap, clap. Some people are naturally born like that. And then there are others who may not be naturally born like that. They may be just cowardly by nature. Or they're always over concerned about people and their image by nature. So this second type of courage or not caring about the blame of the blamers has to be, you have to get it from Allah. Ask Allah to give it to you. Ask Allah to make you strong, to make you brave, and to make you not care unless it's the haqq. And the batil and the personal opinions and feelings, I ain't got no time for that. You have to ask Allah for that. However, you still have to try it out. You ask Allah for something, you have to be willing to what? Put forth effort. So make yourself a mission. I'm going to do something that my parents don't want me to do. And I know they're going to be upset. I already know they're going to be mad. It's haram what they want me to do. It's obligatory what I have to do to stay away from it. I'm going to ask Allah for it and then I'm going to try it out. And it's going to hurt. It's going to be some pressure, but then it will eventually what? Get easier. Wallahu alam.
Assalamu alaikum, MRNYNYC. May Allah bless you, Ameen. You mentioned earlier that the word talaq alone with no specifications is enough for a divorce to take place. Is that the same in English, like saying divorce, not divorce, but divorce? What if someone reads the word talaq out loud? Is their marriage over?
Right, we have a similar question here. Someone sent to the Hadith Disciple email. The asl is that Arabic is Arabic. That's the asl. That's the rule of thumb. However, there are many other things that are based off of translation as well, such as making a statement of kufr. If you say it in Arabic or if you say it in English, If this was the people of English or French or Latin or German, whatever language is being spoken, if this what they consider a statement of disbelief, it's equivalent to it in Arabic, then this also applies what? In that language as well. So if you say in English, you're divorced, I'm divorcing you, I've pronounced divorce, we are divorced,